I thought my in-laws hated me because I'm Nigerian until I found their original Lagos passports in the attic. Ada rotated her wedding ring counterclockwise, a habit she'd developed over 2 years of swallowing humiliation. The kitchen was spotless. She'd made sure of that, but her mother-in-law still ran a white-gloved finger across the countertop, searching for fault. The older woman said, her voice sharp as winter wind through the Hannock's paper doors, "A proper Korean wife would have prepared banchan by now." Ada kept her eyes lowered. "I prepared 8 dishes this morning. Iomionum. They're in the refrigerator." 8. A dismissive sniff. "My daughter-in-law in Seoul prepares 12. The comparison landed like it always did, a small cut, precise and familiar. Ada had stopped bleeding externally months ago. Now the wounds just pooled inside. Jaewon appeared in the doorway, briefcase in hand, and Ada's heart did that stupid hopeful leap it always did. Maybe today he'd say something. Maybe today he'd defend her. He ran his hand through his hair, looked away. "I have a meeting in Busan. I'll be back late." And just like that, she was alone again. The afternoon stretched long and silent. Ada moved through the traditional house like a ghost, dusting shelves lined with family photographs that would never include her. Every frame told the same story. Generations of pure Korean lineage, unbroken and proud. She paused at a portrait of Daejung, her father-in-law, taken in the 1990s. Even then, his expression had been carved from stone, giving nothing away. Miran had told her once, touching her arm with that practiced sympathy, "Well, you'll never belong here, but I can help you try." At the time, Ada had been grateful for any kindness. Now, standing in the empty house, she wondered if she'd mistaken pity for friendship. The attic ladder creaked when she pulled it down. Daejung had sent her to retrieve old tax documents, a menial task designed to remind her of her place. The space above was thick with dust and summer heat, boxes stacked like secrets in the dim light, filtering through a single small window. She found the tax files easily enough, but beneath them, pushed far back against the sloped ceiling, was a wooden box she'd never seen before. Later, Ada would remember this moment as the last seconds of her old life, the moment before everything fractured. The box wasn't locked. Inside, nestled in yellowed newspaper from 1983, were 2 Nigerian passports. She opened the first one with trembling hands. The photograph showed a young man, perhaps 25, with warm brown skin and bright eyes. The name read, Olumide Adeyemi, Lagos, Nigeria. The face was younger, unweathered, but unmistakable. Ada had spent 2 years studying every micro-expression of that face, learning to predict storms. Her father-in-law. She whispered no, then louder to the empty attic. "No, that's impossible." But there were more items. Photographs of Olumide in Lagos, standing outside a church, surrounded by people who shared his features. A letter in Yoruba, creased from repeated folding. A medical invoice from 1987, written in Korean. Facial contouring and rhinoplasty. Dr. Kim Sung-ho, Busan. Ada's phone slipped from her fingers. 2 years of enduring lectures about Korean purity, about traditional bloodlines, one about her unworthiness in the man delivering them had erased his own identity so completely he'd become his own lie. The house suddenly felt different around her. The hanbok Daejung wore so proudly, the Confucian values he weaponized, the rigid adherence to tradition, all of it was a costume. Performance art perfected over decades. She photographed everything with shaking hands. When she heard the front door open downstairs, she barely managed to return the box to its hiding place. Miran's voice drifted up. "Ada, are you still up there? You've been gone over an hour." Ada called out, "Coming?" Her voice sounded strange even to herself, higher, thinner. She descended the ladder on legs that felt borrowed. Miran stood at the bottom, head tilted in that sympathetic way of hers, already reaching to touch Ada's arm. "Did you find the documents? You look pale. Should I make you some tea?" And Ada realized with cold certainty. Miran already knew, the way her eyes flickered toward the attic entrance, the careful casualness of her tone, this warmth, this friendship. It had always been surveillance. "I'm fine," Ada said, stepping past her. "Just dusty up there." That night, lying beside Jaewon in the dark, Ada rotated her ring counter clockwise and made a decision. She wouldn't run. She wouldn't stay silent. For once, she would be the one with power. But first, she needed to understand exactly what she'd found, and what Daijung was willing to do to keep it buried. If you're as shocked as Ada was in that attic, this story is just beginning to unfold, and every twist gets deeper from here. Ada waited until Jaiwon left for work before opening her laptop. In the morning light through the paper doors cast everything in soft amber, deceptively peaceful. Her hands still trembled slightly as she typed her father-in-law's name into the search bar. The results loaded slowly, each one a new shock. Hwang Daijung pledges 500 million won to Korea First immigration reform. Construction magnate backs stricter deportation policies. Hwang, we must protect our cultural purity. Ada's stomach turned. She clicked through article after article, watching her father-in-law stand beside politicians, his face grave with manufactured concern. In one photo, he posed at a rally, a banner behind him reading, "Korean jobs for Korean people." The man from Lagos, the undocumented worker who'd built an empire on forged papers, now funding campaigns to destroy others like him. She muttered to the empty room, "It's brilliant, really. Become the hunter so no one suspects you're the prey." Her phone buzzed. Miran texted, "Having lunch in Seoul today. Want me to bring you those honey cookies you liked?" Ada stared at the message. 3 weeks ago, she would have been touched. Now she saw it for what it was, a check-in, a status report. She typed back, "That's so sweet, thank you." She needed Miran to believe nothing had changed. The research deepened. Ada cross-referenced dates, building a timeline. Daejung's construction company had exploded in the early 1990s, right after the facial surgery. His first major government contract came in 1994, building worker housing in Ulsan. The irony was suffocating. He'd used undocumented laborers to build housing for documented ones, then climbed the ladder on their backs. But it was the recent news that made her blood run cold. 15 Nigerian workers detained in Gyeongju sweep. Immigration crackdown targets construction sites. The article was from 3 months ago. Ada scrolled through the details, her throat tightening. The raids had targeted smaller construction companies, competitors to Hwang Construction. The detained workers had been deported within weeks, their employers fined into bankruptcy. She pulled up property records. 2 of those bankrupt companies now belong to Daijung. Ada whispered, "You're not just hiding. You're eliminating anyone who could expose you." A sound from downstairs froze her. Footsteps in the entryway. Too heavy for Miran. Too early for Jaewon. Ada closed her laptop and moved to the bedroom door, just as Daejung's voice echoed up. "Ada, come down here." She descended slowly, each step a calculation. He stood in the living room, still in his business suit, hands clasped behind his back. The posture of a man accustomed to obedience. He gestured to the low table. "Sit." Ada sat, keeping her spine straight. Her ring rotated counterclockwise beneath the table. Daijung didn't sit. He paced instead, a restrained prowl. "Miran tells me you've seemed distracted lately." Distant. So it had already started. The reporting, the monitoring. "I'm fine, Abeoji, just adjusting still." Adjusting. He said the word like it tasted bitter, after 2 years. "Tell me, Ada, what were you doing in the attic yesterday?" "Miran said you were up there for over an hour." The question hung between them, sharp and dangerous. Ada met his eyes, those eyes she'd seen bright and young in a Lagos photograph. "Looking for the tax documents you requested." The organization system was confusing. Something flickered across his face. Not quite fear, but close. Calculation. "The attic is old, unstable. I don't want you going up there again. If I need something retrieved, I'll send Jaewon." "Of course, Abeoji." He stepped closer. The afternoon light caught his features, and for the first time Ada could see it, the subtle signs of surgical alteration. The nose just slightly too narrow for his face shape. The eyelids that didn't quite match the deep-set bone structure beneath. He said softly, "You know, this family has been very generous to you. We accepted you when others might not have. Provided for you. Protected you." The threat in his voice was delicate as rice paper and just as transparent. "I'm very grateful." "Good." He turned toward the door, then paused. There's a charity dinner next week. Political donors. You'll attend with Jaiwan. And wear something traditional? And Ada? He glanced back. Smile more. People are watching. When the door closed behind him, Ada stayed frozen at the table, her heart hammering. He knew. Maybe not exactly what she'd found, but he suspected something. The dinner wasn't a request, it was a test. A chance to observe her, to see if she'd betray any knowledge. She pulled out her phone and opened the photos she'd taken in the attic, zooming in on the medical invoice. Dr. Kim Sung-ho, Busan. She searched the name. Obituary, Dr. Kim Sung-ho, 1945 to 2019. Dead. Convenient. She tried the church from one of the Lagos photographs, demolished in 2005. The lawyer listed on Daejung's early business documents. Firm dissolved, records destroyed in a fire. Every thread she pulled led to ashes. But then she found something else. A recent wire transfer record, Mar accidentally included in a business profile. 2 million won sent monthly to an account in Lagos. The recipient name was partially redacted, but the last name was visible, Adeyemi. He was still sending money home. After 40 years of erasure, he'd kept one thread intact. Ada said to the empty room, "That's your weakness. You never fully let go." Her phone rang. Jaiwan. His voice was strained. "Hey, my father just called. He says you're acting strange. Are you okay? Did something happen?" Ada closed her eyes. This was the moment. She could tell him everything, show him the photographs, the passports, the medical records. Make him choose. But Jaewon ran his hand through his hair, even over the phone. She could hear the nervous gesture in his voice, and she remembered every time he'd looked away, every time he'd chosen peace over protection. "I'm fine," she said, "just tired. Your aunt has been checking on me a lot. It's sweet but overwhelming. She means well. And about the dinner next week. I know, your father already told me. I'll be ready." When she hung up, Ada pulled out a notebook and began to write. Every detail, every connection, every photograph. If she was going to do this, she needed documentation, evidence, leverage, because Dae-jung had built his empire on the principle that survival justified any betrayal. And Ada was about to use the same principle against him. Every secret has a price, and sometimes the person holding it gets to name the cost. Stay with us to see what Ada does next. The charity dinner glittered with wealth and carefully constructed righteousness. Ada stood beside Jaewon in a deep green handbag she'd tailored herself. Where's the silk whispering against her skin like warnings? Around them, Korea's political elite mingled beneath crystal chandeliers, their laughter sharp as breaking glass. Jaewon whispered, adjusting his tie nervously. "Remember, just smile. Don't engage with the political talk." Ada rotated her ring counter clockwise. Of course. Across the room, Dae-jung held court with a cluster of politicians, his posture commanding, his Korean flawless. He'd switched to a traditional hanbok for the evening, the costume complete. As Ada watched, he clasped hands with a stern-faced man whose campaign posters she'd seen online. Protect Korean identity, vote Cho. Miran materialized at Ada's elbow, immaculate in cream silk. "You look beautiful tonight. That green suits you." Her hand touched Ada's arm. "Are you feeling better? You seemed so pale the other day." "Much better, Unnie. Thank you for asking." Miran's smile widened, but her eyes stayed calculating. "Good. Tonight is important for the family. Dae-jung has worked so hard to build these relationships." "I can see that," Ada said, watching her father-in-law laugh at something Cho said. "He's very dedicated to his causes. He believes in protecting what we've built. Surely you understand that, coming from, well, you know how important cultural preservation is." The casual cruelty landed soft as snowfall and just as cold. Ada smiled. "Oh, I'm learning so much about preservation, family history especially. It's fascinating how much people will do to protect their legacy." Something flickered in Miran's expression, uncertainty, maybe suspicion. But before she could respond, Dae-jung approached with politician Cho in tow. Dae-jung's voice carried false warmth. "Ada, come meet Assemblyman Cho. He's been instrumental in our immigration reform efforts." Ada extended her hand. Cho's grip was perfunctory, his interest minimal. She was decoration, nothing more. Cho said, already looking past her, Your father-in-law is a true patriot. His commitment to preserving Korean jobs, Korean culture, it's admirable in this age of careless globalization. Very admirable, Ada agreed. Tell me, Assemblyman, what inspired your immigration stance? Jaewon's hand tightened on her elbow, a warning. But Ada kept her expression open, curious. Cho launched into a practiced speech about economic protection and cultural purity. Beside him, Daijung stood perfectly still, only his eyes moving, watching Ada with the focus of a man defusing a bomb. Cho continued, "Of course we're not heartless. Legal immigration, properly controlled, can have its place. It's the illegal element that corrupts. Those who sneak in, forge documents, steal opportunities from real Koreans." He smiled. "Your father-in-law understands this better than anyone. His construction empire has suffered from undocumented workers undercutting honest businesses." Ada felt something crystallize inside her, cold and sharp and final. She heard herself say, "Actually, I'd love to hear more about Daejung's early business days. How did you build your first company, Abeoji?" It must have been challenging in the 1980s. The room didn't stop. The chandeliers kept glittering. The champagne kept flowing. But in their small circle, time contracted. Daejung's face remained carved stone, but his jaw tightened. When he spoke, Ada heard it, in the faintest trace of something underneath the perfect Gyeongsang accent, a ghost of Lagos, hard work and respect for tradition, nothing more. "And the right documentation, I assume," Ada continued, her voice honey-sweet. "Permits, visas, legal status, all properly maintained?" Jaewon's hand on her elbow became a grip. "Ada," Dae-young cut in, his eyes locked on hers. A silent war raged in that gaze, calculation, threat, and something new. Fear. "Of course, everything legal, everything proper. I've always believed in following the law." Miran laughed, bright and brittle. "Ada's interested in family history lately. I told you, Appa, she's been asking so many questions. It's sweet, really, wanting to understand her new heritage." The word heritage hung between them like a blade. Cho, oblivious, continued talking about deportation quotas. But Dae-young excused himself, gesturing for Ada to follow. She did, Jae-won trailing behind with dread written across his features. They ended up in a private study, dark wood and leather, and the smell of expensive whiskey. Dae-jung closed the door with controlled precision. His voice was quiet, dangerous. "What are you doing? Making conversation? Isn't that what you wanted? For me to engage with your political friends? Don't play games with me, girl." And there it was, the Lagos showing through the cracks. "You found something. In the attic." Jaewon looked between them, lost. "Father, what?" "Be quiet." Dae-jung's eyes never left Ada. "What do you want? Money? A divorce settlement? Name your price." Ada's laugh surprised even herself. "You think this is about money? Everything is about money or power. Which one do you want?" She pulled out her phone, opened the photograph of the passport, watched the blood drain from his face, the surgically altered, carefully maintained face. She said slowly, "I want for you to stop the deportations. Every Nigerian worker you've targeted, every competitor you've destroyed to cover your tracks, it stops. Now!" Jae-won grabbed the phone, stared at the image. His hand went to his hair, but this time he didn't look away. "This is, Father. This is you." "You're," Dae-jung warned. "Careful." Jae-won finished, the word barely a whisper. "Nigerian. You're Nigerian. Where?" "I'm..." He sat down heavily, the pieces rearranging everything he'd ever known about himself. Miran opened the door without knocking. "The photographer wants family pictures. Is everything..." She stopped, reading the room instantly. Dae-young said, "Get out." "Oppa, what did she..." "I said get out." Miran's mask cracked. She looked at Ada with pure hatred before retreating. Dae-jung turned back to Ada. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, older, tired, and for the first time, honest. "You have no idea what it was like. 1983. No visa, no money, no future. I did what I had to survive. By becoming what you feared most," Ada shot back. "By turning on people like you. People like me don't exist anymore. I killed him. Olumide died 40 years ago. Except he didn't. Ada's voice softened despite herself. You send money to Lagos every month. To the Adeyemi family. You never fully let go. His eyes widened. She'd found the wire transfers. Jaewon stood, his face transformed by something Ada had never seen before. Backbone. Father, if this is true, those workers you're deporting, the policies you're funding, you're destroying people who are just like you were. I am nothing like them anymore. That's the problem, Ada said quietly. You've spent 40 years running from yourself, and now you're making everyone else pay for your fear. Daejung moved to the window, his back to them. Outside, the charity dinner continued, his carefully constructed world spinning on lies. He asked again, defeated. What do you want? I told you. Stop the deportations. Use your influence to protect workers, not destroy them. And, she paused, start telling the truth. Maybe not publicly, not yet, but to this family, to your son. Let Jaewon know who he really is. And if I refuse, Ada held up her phone, then tomorrow morning every media outlet in Korea gets these photos. The medical records, the wire transfer history, all of it. You'd destroy this family. Yep, you already did that. I'm just deciding whether to let you rebuild it honestly or watch it burn. The silence stretched. Then Daejung spoke, and for the first time Ada heard Olumide underneath. Broken, bitter, but real. You have 1 week. After that, we'll see who destroys whom. As Ada and Jaewon left the study, hands finally clasped together in genuine partnership, she knew the real battle was just beginning. But for the first time since finding those passports, she wasn't rotating her ring counter clockwise. She was ready to fight. Sometimes the truth buried deepest is the one that could set everyone free, if they're brave enough to face it. Thank you for staying with Ada's story until the end.